Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Dadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. So I'm at a loss for words today, but I wanted to at least record something and offer whatever Pushpanjali, whatever offering I can give at the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Svami Prabhupada, because today is his disappearance day. And I wanted to offer something and speak about his glories as much as possible. It's very difficult for a conditioned soul such as myself to fully glorify the transcendental personalities like Srila Prabhupada, because they have this form that we can see with our material eyes. By their mercy, they manifest themselves in this world in order to distribute their mercy and deliver the living entities. But then they have their internal and eternal spiritual forms. And this is not so easily seen and realized and understood. This is only this kind of vision is only given to those disciples who are fully surrendered and fully dedicated and following their guru, who have realized the transcendental realm and the identity of their guru in the spiritual world. So Srila Gurudev, he said once that I am saying very boldly and very strongly that I am the only disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. So this is a very bold and a very great statement. And it is not to put other people down and put oneself on a higher platform, but it's highlighting something very important about our relationship with our spiritual master. And how we should try to realize the internal moods and the internal activity, the spiritual activities, the spiritual form of our guru. And then we can actually serve him. And there's many examples of this in scripture. One I can think of is Raghunath Das Goswami in his book entitled Shri Vilap Kusmanjali. The very first verse is praying to, generally, we start any activity by first offering pranams to our guru. Because the guru, the spiritual master, it's said that they are picking us up out of this material existence. Srila Gurudev, when he would talk about his spiritual master, he would weep and he would say, I was completely ignorant, completely engrossed in this material world, but my Gurudev, he grabbed my sika, my tuft of hair at the back of my head, and he pulled me out of the ocean of material existence. And so, this is Guru Tattva. Srila Gurudev said that the duty of Guru is like that of someone who is standing over somebody who is sleeping and holding a very big, cold glass of water. And Guru is throwing this water on anyone who is sleeping and trying to wake them up. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. Jago means get up, wake up. The Jiva, the living entity. Uttishta Jagrata. The Vedas are also saying something similar, that you are sleeping in the lap of illusion. You are thinking that you are this body, that this world is the end-all, be-all. But Guru comes and tells you that no, this is not who you really are. You should go back to God, back to home, back to Godhead. This was Srila Prabhupada's name that he gave his magazine publication. And he would publish so many articles. Prabhupada was he was so learned and could write very, very good English. And he wrote so many articles containing all tattva and all siddhanta, all the teachings of the Vedas and of our Guru Parampara. And he was so bold and so strong, Srila Gurudev would say, that the president of India at the time, the prime minister, he was making some claim that the body and the soul of Krishna were different. That really, the soul of Krishna is something like impersonal, and God only assumes a human-like form so that we can sort of relate with him and understand him, but then upon attaining liberation, we again just merge into the impersonal Brahman, the light of nothingness, and that is the ultimate and the highest destination. But Srila Prabhupada, he wrote a letter back to him, and which contained so many arguments, so much evidence and so much proof to destroy and defeat all of his arguments. And he got no reply. He was afraid to reply to Prabhupada. And like this, he would always defeat all the other misconceptions and oppositantas, the philosophies that are against the philosophical conclusions of the Vedas. And he was so learned. And Gurudev said that he wrote so many books, hundreds of books. And when he would give Bhagavatam class, he would do so sweetly and in such a beautiful way. He would go through every single word of the Sanskrit or any verse that he was quoting, and he would explain word for word, each word, and the very deep meanings of all those words. And if you listen to Srila Prabhupada's recordings, his audio lectures, it's just a masterpiece. There's no way you could do that if you weren't a transcendental, empowered personality. And Srila Gurudev, he said that Srila Prabhupada was a Shaktiavesh avatar, like an empowered incarnation of the Lord. Because who could have done such a thing? He came to the Western world, which was not a devotee in sight, and he flooded the Western and the Eastern countries with the flood of prema, the flood of divine love for God. And he made hundreds of thousands of devotees. No one had ever done anything like that before. He preached all over the world in a very short time. Gurudev would say in mountains, in forests, in the middle of the ocean, in the deserts even. Everywhere, through his disciples also. And he made like a revolution. He inspired all kinds of people to give up all of their sinful activities, all of their illicit sex life, all of their intoxication, all of their meat eating, and inspire them to dedicate their lives to Krishna. So many coming to the West, which was like hellish, almost devoid of religion. Just, he didn't know what to expect. But he was carrying the order of his guru on his head, and he underwent so much suffering and so much sacrifice, having 2 heart attacks coming to the Western world on a boat, nonetheless, which took about a month on the sea. And the whole time he was just thinking, how can I please my Gurudev? Because his guru had opened his eyes and delivered him. And one of the very first things that Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, who was Srila Prabhupada's guru, he told him at once, very soon after he met him, he told Prabhupada, who was a Bhai Charanaravinda at the time, a householder, he said, you speak very good English. You should preach in the English language all over the world and write so many articles. And keeping that order in his heart, Srila Prabhupada said that I was a little worried when I was reading the Bhagavatam. Krishna says that one who I give my mercy to, I take away everything they have, their family, their friends, their wealth, their position, their reputation, everything, and I make him fully dependent on me. And Prabhupada said that he was afraid, reading this almost, that he would lose everything. But he still went on reading, and he still went on chanting and remembering. And eventually, he did lose everything. So many of his businesses that he tried to do failed. His wife and family kicked him, Gurudev said. And he came to Srila Gurudev in Mathura. And eventually he took sannyas from Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And he went to the West to preach after writing some translation of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And he came carrying the message of Krishna in his heart, on his head, and attempted to distribute that message of his guru that he had received from his guru and from all of our acharyas in Krishna, and preach the glories of the Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name, and love and devotion for Krishna. He carried the message of the whole Guru Varga. He translated so many books. The Nectar of Instruction, the Nectar of Devotion, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Ishopanishad, and so many, Bhagavad Gita, so many other books made from his lectures. And he established so many temples. There was not a single temple in the West, at least of Radha and Krishna. He established hundreds of preaching centers and so many deities and so much deity worship. And this was a miracle. And Gurudev said that if he would still be here, if he would have still lived longer, he would have written so many more. He was so prolific. And Gurudev said that any new devotees coming now, even, they are only coming due to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That any devotee in the West, all the credit goes to Srila Prabhupada. That anyhow, by his books, by hearing about his glory, by the influence of his devotees, they heard about Krishna and came to the line of bhakti. And Gurudev would say, I think the root of his mercy is ultimately goes back to Radha and Krishna, that they were, and Mahaprabhu, bestowing their mercy on the jivas through him. Gurudev said that he was the very long arm of his guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. And he was completely one at heart with his guru and completely surrendered to carrying out his orders. And he was so successful. We can see his influence will never be forgotten. And we are all indebted to him, as Srila Gurudev would say. There's so many more things to say about Srila Prabhupada. I don't know how long I can go here, but I want to stress and lightly touch on one more thing. That Srila Prabhupada, he would say that he was a Rupanuga devotee. He translated, so many of the books of Srila Rupa Goswami. And his guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta, he's known as Sri Varshabhanavi Daita Das. He's the servant of the beloved of the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, who is Srimati Radhika, who her beloved is Krishna. And there's so much to say about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Mahaprabhu. I don't think I'll get into it right now. It's a very large topic, a very long topic. But Gurudev would say that Prabhupada, he did not come to give any new thing. He did not create anything new. He's coming in a line of disciplic succession all the way back up to Radha and Krishna themselves. He said that he gave the same wine in a new bottle. And so Vyasadeva, he did not invent the Srimad Bhagavatam. He did not write the Srimad Bhagavatam. He simply wrote it down, meaning he went into meditation and all of these eternal pastimes were revealed to him, and he simply wrote that. Srila Prabhupada, he would say that, I read my own books. Why is that? Because I am not writing these books. Krishna himself is inspiring me, and I am writing, Krishna is writing all of these things. Just like how Baladev Vidyabhushan, he wrote Govinda Bhasya. This is the commentary of Krishna himself, Govinda himself, on Vedanta Sutra. And it was only using Baladev Vidyabhushan as an instrument, he wrote all these things. So similarly, being completely surrendered to the will of Krishna, Krishna himself was writing all of Srila Prabhupada's literatures through him. This is his glory. This is the glory of a pure devotee, that he is so connected to God that he can talk to him. And he's in the heart. And a very high-class devotee can have that direct transcendental relationship with him. So, the glory of Srila Prabhupada is unlimited. His glories are like an ocean. And I don't know if I've even touched a drop of those glories. Like I was saying at the beginning, that really only a transcendental personality can glorify another transcendental personality. without realizing his spiritual form and service, how can we really know who he is and glorify who he is? But we hear from Srila Gurudev that he must be a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, that he was an eternal associate of Radha and Krishna themselves, and that this is his glory, this is his highest glory. Not so many other external things like traveling here and there and preaching, the Maha Mantra and so many things, which are all very glorious. But what is the deepest essence that he really wanted to give? Srila Gurudev, he said once that some devotees were telling Gurudev, oh, I have Prabhupada's toothbrush that he used, and I have Prabhupada's shoes, and I have Prabhupada's sweater, and so many other things that Prabhupada would use in his daily life. But Srila Gurudev said, you should try to collect his internal things, not all these external things. Generally, the items that a pure devotee uses are like worshipable, and we hold them in very high regard. And they're known as like their mercy and their remnants, and they have so much power to deliver the living entity and help them progress in bhakti. But in this case, Gurudev said you should try to collect his internal things. What were his moods? What were his teachings? And how can we follow all of those things in our life? Prabhupada himself, in his Pranam Mantra, he's writing, Gauravani Pacharine, the teachings of Mahaprabhu. He preached all over the world. So that's a whole other topic, of course. What are the teachings of Mahaprabhu? Who is Mahaprabhu? Being Krishna himself, tasting the loving moods of Srimati Radhika. There are different slokas that encapsulate the mood of Mahaprabhu and his teachings. So I'll quote one and then I'll finish. I don't know. It's so long, class. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes, Aradhyo Bhagavan Bhajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavana Ramya Kachirupasana Brajavadu Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Brahmana Mamalam Prema Pumarto Maha Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Daruna Para. And this is a very beautiful verse that explains what is the mission, what is the message, what are the teachings of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Aradhya, who is our most worshipable object? That is Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brajendra Nandana, Shama Sundar in Vrindavan specifically. not any other form of Krishna. Any other form of Krishna cannot reciprocate with all the devotees, however they desire. Lord Ram will never be your husband. He can never fulfill that desire if you have that. He's vowed only to marry Sita. Nrsimhadev, he will not be your lover. He cannot be your son. Narayan, he cannot be your friend. You cannot embrace Narayan. But Krishna, he will accept anyone and everyone. However they want to love him, Krishna will fulfill that devotee's desire. This is Krishna's supreme mercy. And there's so many examples for this. How he bestowed and fulfilled the desires of so many different devotees to love him in so many different ways. So this Krishna is our Brajesha Tanayas, the beloved son of Nanda Maharaj. This is our most worshipful object. This is the teaching of Mahaprabhu. The Rasaraj, the king of Ras, the supreme relisher of loving mellows. And similarly, his abode, Sri Vrindavan, is also worshipable as him equally. And Ramya Kacharupasana Brajabadu, the Upasana, the worship of the Brajavadu, the wives of Vrindavan, the gopis, the cowherd maidens. That is the highest form of worship of Krishna, because they are giving up everything to love Krishna. This is another very large topic. I'm only briefly touching on it now, but they've completely surrendered their mind, body, and very soul to Krishna. In every single way, they are serving him to the topmost degree, more so than any other devotee in existence, or any other devotees. This is their glory. Mahaprabhu is saying that this is the highest worship of Krishna, how the gopis are worshiping him. And what is the evidence for that? Srimad Bhagavatam is the evidence for that. Krishna himself is telling the gopis, Na pareham niravajya samyujam. I cannot repay your debt. I am indebted to you. Even if I were to live for millions and millions of lifetimes, I cannot repay how you have served me. So may your own glorious activities be your own benediction. And prema pumartho mahan, the topmost goal of, ultimate goal of life is love for Krishna. And again, Srimad Bhagavatam is the proof of all of these statements. This is the teaching of Mahaprabhu. So, Prabhupada, he came to preach all these things, but he did not have so much time. And so when he was leaving this world, on his last day, Srila Gurudev would always say how Prabhupada, he called Srila Gurudev to come to his side and to sit next to him. And while weeping, he took his hands in his hands and was speaking so many things with him and begging him, requesting him, please help my devotees. He said, I've collected so many monkeys. I cannot train them. So much. I did not have so much time. I was doing so many things. Prabhupada, he was defeating so many misconceptions, the scientists, so many other different ideologies, impersonalism, Mayavad, Voidism, Buddhism, so many things. Atheistic mentalities. He was destroying that, cutting the jungles. So he didn't have so much time to really give what he wanted to give, what he came to give. Same thing with Bhaktisiddhanta. He wanted to give all these very high things of Mahaprabhu's teachings, but very rare to find one who was qualified to take all these things. So he only gave to a very few people all these very deep things. And he was begging Srila Gurudev that, please help my devotees. And I want you to put me in samadhi with your own hands. I want you to bury me and perform all the mantras and everything that you do at the time of the passing of a great soul. You bury them and perform so many rules and regulations around that. And Gurudev would say that this generally, whoever puts someone in samadhi is like their successor. That's the general understanding. And how Srila Gurudev served Srila Prabhupada throughout his whole life, that is a whole nother topic. But they have a very deep... Srila Gurudev underwent so much sacrifice and served him so much in every single way. Without Srila Gurudev, who knows what Srila Prabhupada's preaching would have been like in the West. He sent mridangas, kartals, so many things that he needed that no one else could have sent him. And so he made so many requests to Srila Gurudev, please donate to all the surrounding temples in Vrindavan and help my devotees. Srila Prabhupada, he wanted Srila Gurudev to come to the West with him when he first came. And Srila Prabhupada wrote over 100 letters. I think Gurudev said over 300 letters to Srila Gurudev. How close their relationship was. Gurudev said that Prabhupada wrote in one letter that to Gurudev that we have a transcendental relation. We have an eternal transcendental relation. And Prabhupada, he didn't ask, although there were so many of his devotees around him, he asked Srila Gurudev to put him in samadhi. Gurudev said that I'm serving Prabhupada not only externally, but internally also. So who has that realization? Gurudev would say that when Srila Prabhupada would chant the prayers of our acharyas, like Sadhu Goswami Ashtakam, he would weep and weep and weep and weep with such deep love and moods. To any son, he had such deep understanding and realization and such deep love for Krishna we can't imagine. So we are praying to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. We're praying to the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev that, and the whole Guru Varga, that they bestow their mercy on us and we can realize what Srila Prabhupada really came to give. And we can go very deep into his teachings and try and serve his mission, preach his mission. Gurudev would say that you should continue the mission of Swamiji, continue the mission of Srila Prabhupada, which is the same mission as the mission of Mahaprabhu, the same mission as Rupa Goswami, to distribute freely this love for God and drown everyone in that ocean of love and affection. Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo